Hey guys, it's McDev. We're back for another one. This is use attribute selectors to style elements. We're not going to wait around. We're going to jump right in. So, what they are asking us to do is using the type attribute selector, try and give the checkboxes in the cat photo app a top margin of 10 pixels and a bottom margin of 15 pixels. Okay, so we know what they want us to do, but we don't really know what this type thing is. So let's read the description. You have been adding ID or class attributes to the elements that you wish to specifically style. These are known as ID and class selectors. There are other kinds of CSS selectors that you can use to select custom groups of elements to style. There's so many different ways to select stuff in CSS. Let's bring out the cat photo app again and practice using CSS selectors. For this challenge, you will use the attribute equals value in these square brackets attribute selector to select the checkboxes in the cat photo app. This selector matches in style elements with a specific attribute value. For example, the below code changes the margin of all elements with the attribute type and a corresponding value of radio. Okay, cool. So this is pseudocode saying attribute and value. This is the name of the attribute and the value that we're trying to match in our HTML, and this is the CSS they're applying to it. Okay, so let's find these checkboxes. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. All right, so we see here we have an attribute called type. We also have an attribute called name, but we're going to use the type one. And what's assigned to that attribute is the word checkbox. All right, so following the theme here, I would assume that this type right here is going to be type, and this right here is going to be checkbox. So let's dive in and run through the solution. We're going to create a new style. And we're going to do something different and use these square brackets. We're going to say type, because that's the attribute, equals, and then in quotation marks, let me triple check. We're going to do the word checkbox. Checkbox. All right. Now we have the checkboxes selected in our CSS, but currently we're not applying any styles to it. And so they want us to give a margin of 10 pixels, a top margin of 10, and a bottom margin of 15. So I'm just going to do this as basic as possible at first, and we'll clean it up. So we'll say margin top is 10 pixels, margin bottom is 15 pixels. Cool. I think I saw a change in the over here on the right. So I'm going to comment this out, pressing Control /. Yeah, and you can see that padding went away. Control / again, and it comes back. So that looks good. That spacing was necessary. I believe we have the solution, so let's run the tests. Bam. Okay, we're there. So that's it for this lesson, but we're going to talk a little bit more about this, and if you want to stick around, this might be useful. So the first thing we can do to clean this up is we can say, all right, yeah, let's do this. We're gonna just do the clockwise notation for margin. All right, so the clock starts at the top position, so we'll say 10 pixels, and then it moves to the right position. So we're gonna say 0 because we don't have anything on the right. And then the clock continues. We're now at the bottom position, which is 15 pixels, and then at the left position, which is 16 pixels. So top, right, bottom, left. And that works the same way as those two lines. Okay, so that's cool. And just one last thought for you. There are many ways to style or to select elements with your CSS. For example, we could have created a class called checkbox margin and applied it to each one of these inputs. Gave them each of them the class called checkbox margin. Instead, we're saying just every checkbox in this page, we're going to make it have this particular style. And so this is a very useful way to do it. But don't get overwhelmed with all of the different ways to do things in CSS, because at the end of the day, you are 90% of the time you're doing two things. You're selecting an element using one of the various methods, and you're applying a style to it. So I hope that was helpful. We're past the halfway point in the basic CSS module. Hope you keep up the momentum, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye, guys.